Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and it's finally here. Avengers Infinity War. It's been a long 10 years, it's been a long time coming, but here it is. And man, it's something. It's quite a movie, to say the least. Now, going into this video, it's going to be a quick spoiler-free review. I'll probably do a video talking about spoilers at some point down the line. But right now, I just want to do a quick video just giving my opinion out there, about the movie. And when it comes to the Marvel movies, the MCU mostly, I'm a huge fan of them. I like a lot of them. I don't think a lot of them are the greatest, but I do truly enjoy these characters, and I truly enjoy these movies. So yeah, there's a lot of hype for this movie. A lot of hype, a lot going into this one. And does it pay off? Yes. For the most part, it does. Sure, this movie has flaws. It's not perfect by any means, and I have issues with it, definitely. But for the most part, it's a very satisfying, just insane movie that is both like a ton of fun, and there's a lot of moments that just bring a smile to my face. And there's a lot of moments that are just completely dreadful in what happens in them. There's a lot of stake with this movie. Like, I don't even have to go into the plot of this one. We all know what it is, basically. We've been building to this for this long. And I don't even know how long this review is going to be, because there's not a whole lot I can really discuss without going into spoilers and everything. And I'm going to try to be as cryptic as I can with some stuff, regarding the movie and regarding the characters. What works best about this movie is the characters that we've grown to care for over this 10-year journey. Seeing them in this movie, you care for all of them, even when they don't get a whole lot of screen time. But the best part is seeing characters interact with each other. Of course, the big thing is introducing the Guardians of the Galaxy to the Avengers. And yeah, that stuff is great. And I think, the best thing about this movie is not the character interactions you're expecting to see, but the ones you didn't know you wanted. Because there's a few moments where certain characters interact with each other, and I'm like, I never thought I wanted to see that guy talk to that guy, but they did it, and I'm really happy right now. And that was hilarious and great moments. I love Thor's interaction with the Guardians of the Galaxy. They could just make a whole movie of just Thor interacting with the Guardians, and I'm good, I'm in. But, seeing Iron Man and Doctor Strange, which they really play off each other really well because they both don't like each other at all. And I thought that was a really interesting, dynamic to go off of that. When Star-Lord and Iron Man finally start interacting with each other, it's just gold. I love seeing all of that. Although one of the best things this movie did is how they handled Thanos. Now, his motivation and his overall goal doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. It's kind of silly. But as a character, Thanos is really interesting, and one of my favorite things is that they treat him as a character, not just a villain who wants to destroy the world, and that's all. He actually has, emotional beats. There's actually a lot of time spent with him, just scenes with him. Not just him fighting the Avengers or him destroying worlds or whatever. There's actually, good character moments with him, and you get a good sense of him as a character, and Josh Brolin did a great job playing him. And I thought the effects were really good. They get the emotion across very well, and you really feel like he is a character there, even though he's a giant CGI purple thing. So, I thought Thanos was probably one of the best elements of this entire movie. Sure, there's a couple little iffy problems with, some of his motivations and stuff. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But like I said, the fact that they really made him feel like a character with emotion and everything, and he wasn't just there to fight things, to fight the Avengers, made me really happy. There's a lot of stand-up scenes with him in the movie, and scenes with him and Gamora, who's his daughter, of course. There's a lot of great scenes with them too, and just a lot of good stuff with that I truly enjoyed. Now, I'm going to get into some of the flaws with this movie. This movie is overwhelming. There's so much going on in it, so many characters. The movie's constantly moving, and some stuff kind of takes a backseat to others. There's some, plot lines that really take their time in developing, but then there's other plot lines that just happen, really quickly, and you're like, okay, now we're doing that now, okay. And certain characters don't get a whole lot of time to develop. Actually, my favorite character in the MCU really doesn't do a whole lot in this movie. I'm not going to say who they are, but they don't really get to do as much as certain other characters do, and that kind of surprised me. That doesn't really make me mad or anything, but it just seemed like some stuff got more attention to than others, and it didn't feel as well balanced. And also, not as well balanced is the tone at times. The movie still has that typical Marvel humor to it, and Marvel moments of levity, but there's also a lot of really dark and serious moments in this movie. A lot of just like dark shit happens here, and sometimes it doesn't mesh. For the most part, I think it's pretty solid, but there are a few moments where like it's like, okay, that was very serious, okay, here's a joke, and it doesn't quite meld as well, but for the most part it's not as bad as it could have been. I feel like it could have been a lot worse. And then there's the ending, the big cliffhanger ending, which, you know, when this movie was first announced, it was announced as part 1, and then next year's Avengers 4 was part 2, and then they kind of changed the titles of the movie, and we're like, yeah, because Infinity War is kind of like its own little story, and it's not exactly a two-parter. That's what they were saying, which isn't really true at all, because this movie does end on a flat-out cliffhanger for the next one. So it kind of is part 1 and 2, and I know that's the thing that a lot of people are going to be talking about. And to be honest, I wasn't too affected by it. Like, I can't really say why exactly, but the cliffhanger to me was just, it was alright. Like, it was like, okay, I'm interested to see how they resolve this stuff in the next movie, but it didn't hit me like like it did to a lot of people, and it didn't really invest me as much, or as much emotionally as it probably should have. And also there's a couple stuff with the character of the Hulk, who, comics-wise, is my favorite Marvel character. Like, in the comics, I love the Hulk. And the stuff they do with him in this movie, like, it didn't work for me. Like, it was, like, I know it was meant to be funny, but it didn't make me laugh at all. It's kind of cringe-worthy, actually, and I wasn't too big on the stuff they did with him at all. Like, that didn't work for me, and that was actually kind of a major disappointment, because, again, Hulk is my favorite, you know, Marvel character, and so seeing, like, how they used him in Infinity War of all movies was kind of underwhelming, kind of disappointing. I didn't really like that. So those are my major flaws in the movie, but for the most part, man, I just enjoyed it. I had such a blast with this one, just seeing these characters come together and interact. Although it's kind of a weird movie to say that, like, I had a smile on my face during a lot of it, because there is a lot of dark stuff that happens in here. A lot of repercussions that I hope that they keep and don't kind of like go back and redo in the next movie. There's some like big like heavy moments in here, and when they actually like do focus on the heavy stuff, it works. It actually works really well. Like, the opening of this movie just starts out and it's already just bleak as hell. Like, the first like sequence in this movie is so bleak and dark. It's like, okay, so this is what we're in for. But it is so great just to see these characters interacting with each other. And for the most part, the action scenes are awesome, though the last big action scene at the end kind of got a little long-winded. And there's kind of a part where I'm like, okay, you can kind of like wrap this up. It's kind of a lot right now. And this movie is very action-based. And sometimes the movie doesn't sit around as much as it kind of could, like to kind of develop the story. It kind of just moves into another action set piece. Because this movie is made up of a lot of action set pieces. And I feel it could have done, you know, used for a little bit more downtime with some of the characters. But those action set pieces were like straight out of the comics. Like, watching these characters, like, do this stuff. And there is some good comedy. There is some comedy that kind of falls flat and doesn't work. Like I mentioned some stuff with Hulk. But there's other comedic moments that kind of fell flat, didn't quite work for me. What I'm really happy, though, is that one of the standout characters in this movie is Drax, who was one of my major problems in Guardians 2. Like, I hated how in Guardians 2 they just kind of made him like a punchline, and he just, I don't know, he didn't work for me in that movie, but his comedic moments in this movie are probably the best, some of the best moments in the movie, and they're great. So there's a lot of great stuff in this movie, just, like, it worked. Like, they pulled out, this is a movie that should have just been a complete disaster with all the stuff that they're throwing into it, like all the characters, all the plot lines converging into one. It should have just been a complete mess of a movie, and it wasn't. Sure, some stuff works better than others, and it wasn't like completely perfect. This movie just was the culmination of 10 years, and it worked. Like I said, it has its flaws, but the positives so make up for those issues. Man, who would have thought that the Russo brothers would be like the best guys to make a Marvel movie? Like, no, nothing against them, but they started out directing like episodes of Community and stuff like that, and they ended up making some of the best Marvel movies. Like, Captain America Winter Soldier is still the best Marvel movie in my opinion, even after seeing Infinity War. And Civil War is great too, and then this one just pulled it all together. Like, who would have thought? Like, it's the most out of left field choice, but they did it, man, and they pulled off an awesome movie that is definitely gonna make Marvel fans happy, and made me very happy. Although, I will say one person that didn't make too happy was Sam, who I did see the movie with. The reason why he's not doing this video with me, and probably won't do the spoiler video with me either, is just because lately he's been really busy with school and stuff, hence why we haven't done anything together in like over a month. In fact, seeing this movie was the first time I saw him since we saw Death Wish over a month ago. So that's kind of why, and if you've seen our other reviews of the Marvel movies, like recent reviews, stuff like Guardians 2 and like Thor Ragnarok, you can see that Sam isn't too big on the Marvel movies. I'm not saying anything against it, I got no problem with that. So coming out of this movie, he wasn't too impressed, you know, but to each their own, you know, I'm not going to complain about that, that's his opinion, that's fine. Me, on the other hand, I had a ton of fun with this movie. Well, both fun and was on the edge of my seat because this movie actually has stakes. Like I said, if it actually keeps some of the stuff that it did, then definitely the stakes are real. But this movie actually felt like things were at stake and actually had like some intense moments where I'm like, I don't know how this is going to turn out and I hope things turn out for the best. And to be honest with this movie, most of the time it doesn't. And that's like one of the great things about this too, is that like how bleak some stuff gets at times with this movie. It just was an awesome film. I'd say that. Like, I enjoyed this immensely. And yeah, now can't wait to see where they go with Avengers 4, which is just next year, and can't wait to see where they actually finally conclude this storyline. So I am hoping to do a spoiler video for this at some point soon. Hopefully I'll get around to it. I've also been kind of busy with some stuff, but I'm hoping to. I am planning to see this movie again this weekend with my brothers who haven't seen it yet, and that'll probably be the best time after that to shoot the spoiler video, because there's just so much in this movie, so much to take in, that I feel like if I do a spoiler video right now, I'll probably miss some details. There's just so much going on that you just gotta see it a second time just to get everything and just fully take everything in that happens in this movie, because it's nuts. So yeah, that's hopefully doing that at some point soon. But either way though, that's about it for now, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.